They scared us, dominated the screen, and burned into the memory of anyone who lived or later discovered the cinema of the 80s. Behind the masks, the maniacal laugh, and those cold, chilling stares were villains who stole the spotlight and became legends. Today, we're counting down the 10 most iconic villains of the decade that changed Hollywood forever. Get ready, because nostalgia is coming back, sharp, twisted, and hungry for revenge.
Before becoming the master of nightmares, he was just a skinny actor trying to make it in small roles. Robert Englund didn't have the look of an 80s heartthrob, nor the build of an action hero ... but he had an intensity in his eyes that few could. Ignore ... in 1984. He was cast to play a villain, unlike anything cinema had ever seen, a deformed monster who hunted people in their dreams. Freddy Krueger was born with his bladed glove, striped sweater, and a maniacal laugh that still haunts people today. Robert's performance was so unforgettable that he played Freddy in 8 films, fully committing, even through hours of makeup and unbearable heat on set. The strangest part? Off-screen, Robert was the exact opposite of Freddy. Polite, soft-spoken, even a little shy. Today, he's over 75 and lives a quieter life, but still shows up at fan conventions around the world, always smiling, even when someone hands him the infamous glove. Did you know that this terrifying face belonged to such a gentle soul? In the 80s, he wasn't the hero, but he was definitely the guy everyone loved to hate. Thomas F. Wilson started his career as a stand-up comic and musician, playing in small clubs and doing odd gigs. But everything changed when he showed up as Biff Tannen, the loud, obnoxious bully in Back to the Future, with lines like, "What are you looking at, butthead?" Biff became the ultimate 80s bad guy. The craziest part? Thomas was nothing like Biff in real life. Kind, soft-spoken, even a little shy. After the trilogy's massive success, he stepped away from the spotlight. Today, he's a painter, a podcaster, and even tours doing musical comedy, always poking fun at the role that made him famous. Ever seen Biff Tannen strumming a guitar and cracking jokes on stage? Yep, the transformation is real. And the next name on this list is even more unexpected. Just wait. Before becoming the most feared cyborg in movie history ... he was just an Austrian bodybuilder trained to learn English. Arnold Schwarzenegger already stood out with his massive muscles and quiet charisma, but no one imagined that it was about to become one of pop culture's biggest icons. In 1984, he appeared as the T-800, the Terminator. Code. Relentless. He barely spoke, but his presence was chilling. The line, "I'll be back," became one of the most famous quotes in cinema history. And Arnold, once just a big guy, became a global superstar. Even more surprising, he went beyond acting, entrepreneur, politician, and governor of California. Today, in his 70s, he still trains, acts, and inspires millions with his no-nonsense mindset. From Killer Cyborg, a symbol of determination, Arnold proves that no, one needs to be programmed to win. And the next villain on this list? That one is absolute madness. He's known for playing kings, villains, and historical icons. But in 1987, he took on something completely different. Frank Langella was a respected actor in theater and film, famous for deep, serious roles. So why did he agree to play the villain in a movie based on children's action figures? According to him, "My son was a huge He-Man fan. I wanted him to see me as Skeletor." And he didn't hold back. He delivered a powerful, theatrical, even philosophical performance. Under heavy makeup, Frank dominated the film with lines like, "I am the cosmic power." After that, he returned to serious films, earned an Oscar nomination, and became known as one of the most versatile actors of his generation. From cartoon villain, the cinematic legend. And the next name on this list, that one's chilling, both on screen and off. Believe it or not, before stealing the spotlight in Hollywood, he had never acted in a movie. Alan Rickman was a British stage actor, known for his commanding voice and elegant presence on stage. Everything changed in 1988, when he made his film debut as Hans Gruber in Die Hard. Cold, calculated, and sarcastic, Hans became one of the most iconic villains in movie history. The most impressive part? This was Alan's very first movie, and he already had Bruce Willis up against the wall, literally. After that, Rickman built a brilliant career, always blending charm with intensity. And years later, He touched hearts all over the world as Severus Snape in Harry Potter. Sadly, he passed away in 2016, but his legacy lives on from British theater to some of the greatest villains of all time. And the next villain on our list? That one has a chilling connection to real-life horror. He barely says a word, but the sound of that machete dragging says it all. Jason Voorhees started as an urban legend in the first Friday the 13th, but it was in part 2 back in 1981 that he became the mass killer we all know. Here's the twist. Multiple actors have played Jason over the years, each bringing their own way of walking, stalking, and terrifying. But the most iconic of them all? Kane Hodder, he played Jason in 4 films. He brought raw power, heavy breathing, and almost animal-like movements to the role. Off-screen, though, Kane was the opposite. Friendly, funny. Even a fan of comedy movies after the franchise, he became a horror legend, showed up at fan conventions, and even wrote a book sharing behind-the-scenes stories. From unstoppable monster to underground horror icon and the next villain on this list, he'll mess with your mind. He screamed, destroyed, and made audiences tremble with one of the most intense performances of the decade. Clancy Brown didn't have much screen time in Highlander, but he made every second count as the Kurgan, a brutal, sarcastic, terrifying. Immortal, with a post-apocalyptic look, a deep voice, and that wild-eyed stare, he became one of the most unforgettable villains of the VHS era. But off-screen, Clancy was calm, smart, and had a voice that would soon become legendary. He went on to act in dozens of films and shows. But you know where he became a household name? As the voice of Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob SquarePants. From the Kurgan to Fenty Bikini Bottom, he proved that versatility can be just as terrifying. And the next villain? He looks like he came straight out of a stop-motion nightmare. Before Anthony Hopkins made the role iconic, Brian Cox was the first actor to bring Dr. Hannibal Lecter to life. In 1986. In the film Manhunter, he played Lecter with a quiet intensity, cold, intelligent, and deeply unsettling. There were no masks, no dramatic lines, just a steady gaze, calm speech, and quiet menace. And even with limited screen time, he helped build the legend of Hannibal Lecter. The surprising part? Most people forget it. He was the very first Lecter on film. After that, Brian built a strong career with roles in major films and shows. But decades later, he returned to the spotlight as billionaire patriarch Logan Roy in succession. From Cannibal Killer to King of the Corporate World. And the next villain on this list. He's pure madness. Before stare-dancing clowns, chaos already had a face. Jack Nicholson. In 1989, he brought the Joker to life-fying Tim Burton's Batman and left a mark that still echoes today. Jack was already a Hollywood giant, an Oscar winner with a reputation for being unpredictable. When he was cast as the Joker, many people doubted it. But then came that first laugh, and he completely stole the show. With a frozen grin, sadistic humor, and explosive style, Nicholson's Joker became an icon. Fun fact, he took a cut of the film's profits, earning over $60 million. Turns out, crime did pay. After that, Jack took fewer roles and now lives away from the spotlight, but his version of the Joker still haunts, inspires, and makes people laugh. And the final villain on our list? He's a childhood nightmare brought to life.
Before putting on the most iconic black armor in cinema, he was known for lifting weights and playing monsters. David Prowse was the man behind Darth Vader's body, standing nearly 2 meters tall with broad shoulders and commanding presence. Former British bodybuilder, he even trained Christopher Reeve for Superman. Crazy, right? But in 1977, he was chosen to play a villain that would change his life forever. Though his voice wasn't used in the final film, Prowse gave Vader his physical power, the rigid movements, and that intimidating silence. Behind the scenes, he was playful and approachable, the opposite of the villain he portrayed. For years, he felt overlooked, never fully recognized for his role. Still, he became a fan favorite at conventions around the world. And even after his passing in 2020, David's legacy still breathes. Just like Vader. And if you've enjoyed revisiting these villains, get ready, because in the next video, we'll show you the heroes who faced them and what they look like today